going on, legends? My name's Dylan. This is my build of my Torana Hatchback. So I thought, why not? While we're doing a whole build, let's just put it on YouTube, and that way I got a record for myself. If you guys like enjoying watching, following along and everything, subscribe, because I've got this car. I'll go through and I'll show you all the parts and bits and pieces we've got and what's going to actually happen with this car. And then after this, I've got a number of cars that are all floating around the yard and the shed that are all going to get done. So if we're liking what's happening, then I'll just keep the ball rolling. So this is my 76 hatchback Torana. We've got a 6-litre T56, whole rod shop front end, doing the rear end as well. So it's going to be a massive build, full respray, the whole bits and piece, no expense spared on this car. So why don't I show you what we've got sitting down here on the floor, the engine, the box and everything, all the pieces laid out, run through the build, and we'll start cracking into some work. So what we got is we've got a L77 6-litre from a VF Commodore. We've got a whole rod shop front end, coil over suspension, Willwood brakes, power steering, the whole lot. I've got some exciting parts coming for the power steering to make that happen. The whole conversion kit, so we've got all the headers there, everything there, hydraulic slaves, flywheel, clutch, all sitting there. Fully rebuilt T56, all new synchros, everything with a Malwood rear case to relocate the shifter. The engine's also been built as well. Nothing over the top, nothing crazy, just mold cam setup. So for a 1200 kilo car, and and it's also just going to be like a cruiser as well. Get in it, drive up the coast, drive wherever you want. You know it's going to be reliable, it's going to make it. So yeah, just a mold cam setup in that, and it's going to be way more than enough than this car and for what we want it to do. So I'm at the point where I have, and I do apologise, I haven't recorded it, but I've taken the 253 V8 out of the car already, and the original front end, and I've swapped it over into this other car that's sitting next to me. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to get this whole engine box bolted together, put it on that front end. For these cars, it's a lot easier to put the engine and gearbox in from underneath. And as you've seen already, I don't have a hoist yet. It's something that is on the list. It's going to happen. So for now, I think what I'm going to have to do is rip some RHS out, make up a little cradle with some wheels on it, so that we can sit all this on, so we can lift the body up nice and high and just make it easy just to slide this whole assembly in and out for the time being. We want to start getting everything all fitted up, make sure it's all going to sit nicely, see if I have to make any modifications to these headers, because as we know, aftermarket parts don't always fit 100%. So I need to see what's going to clash where. Is the starter motor going to fit right, because the starter motor is on the right hand side, the steering is also on the right hand side. There's so many different variables, so I want to get it all fitted up. Once we get to that point, I'm going to rip it all back out again, tidy up the whole engine bay, paint that whole engine bay and front end there, so it's all nice and good, and we can get this in for hopefully one of the last couple times. I've got a harness, CCU and everything all in order. Yeah, because we want this thing running ASAP. So let's get stuck in. I think I'm going to have to start with making up an RHS frame. I've tried looking at all different avenues to do it different ways, and I think it's going to be the easiest way to make up a little cradle and slide it in and out. So why don't we get stuck into that? Hopefully we can have this engine and box in no time. Alright, so when we measure up the inside hole measures at just over, my electronic ones aren't working, so I'm going with this, but it measures just over 15, like a bee's dick. And then when I measure the actual dowels, the dowels, they come in at 16 mil. So this is what I was talking about. So I can see it fouling on these little dowels. If it'll focus, you can see it's caught. It has caught in there a little bit. So I know there's a little bit of like light corrosion on there. I might just try sanding them down with some sandpaper and trying again, but it's never right, is it? It can never just be right and just fit. All right, well, we're gonna have to do it. It's okay, it was just me crushing my garbage bin. Alright, so it's back out again. As you can see here, we've got all these marks here. What's happening, I'll get under and show you. I've just put the car back down on stands. So, when we come under here, I've had to die grind this out a little bit, just to allow for the shifter to fit in there properly. But what the box is fouling on now is this handbrake cable bracket there. So, I think if I just take off that corner without ruining it too much, I'll take off a little bit of this corner, make it nice and neat, and then that hopefully should give us our clearance, because it looks like it's sort of catching from about here up to about there. So we'll get that done and hopefully it'll fit in from there. Everything else, like it's got really good clearance all through the tunnel. Everything, it's like the whole kit's just made to go in there. There's obviously going to be teething issues, little bits and pieces you have to cut out and stuff they don't really tell you about or they're not aware of, but you know, if it means we've got to cut up a couple little spots, and it is what it is, and yeah, it's not the end of the world. So it's back out again, and we'll get these things cut and we'll get it back in, and that's what this is all about. That's why I haven't gone and put the clutch and all the slave and everything all on and bolted it all up properly, because I know I'm going to be coming in and out, in and out, in and out. So, and then once we get in, we've got it all fitted up good, it's going to come out and we're going to paint all this, clean up all this engine bay, move all the stuff that like doesn't need to be in here anymore, paint it all up, make it look nice, paint up all these wheel arches, get the tunnel all sorted out. So yeah, so right, let's get it done. All right, so camera died, so I had to charge it back up, unfortunately. So, but in the meantime, I've popped it all in. So it's sitting in there. We do have a couple of issues, so I'll show you them. A couple really minor ones. Fitment's all, I'm pretty happy with the way everything's all fitting up, to be honest. But you can see there's a sensor down there. Maybe you can, maybe you can't see it. See it from here. That's just fouling on the headers there. So that's fine. That's just a small rotation. And then underneath, there's a couple little things that just need to be tidied up. So, hopefully you can see well enough, but you can see I've cut this bracket, but I just need to take a little bit off. It's not, it looks like it's hitting, but it's not hitting. But I might just take a little bit more off that. The reverse solenoid up here is just touching the floor. So I might have to cut it, put a little bulge in the floor, or I might just hit it with a ball peen hammer. And that should sort that out. There is very, very little clearance here at the back of a hole in the floor for the gear stick, so I'm gonna have to tidy that up, because as this moves on the mounts a little bit, you know, if it comes back and hits that, it's gonna be annoying. Just don't want it, so we'll just trim that up really nice. I was fortunate enough to just diagram out that corner and keep that hole there so that the gear boot can bolt on, the seal can bolt on. But apart from that, everything seems to be fitting up pretty well. Move around. Yeah, so you know, the box sits in there nice. There's heaps of room all the way through the tunnel. The headers, surprisingly, the rod shop headers don't have a great reputation for being the best. I think they might be made in China things or something, I'm not sure, but surprisingly the fitment is really nice. The steering is going to be tight, so you can see that's the steering there. So with a little knuckle, it's hard to show it properly, but we should be able to direct it around, and it just goes down there and bolts down in here onto the steering rack. So it is a bit tight. It does look like there's plenty of room there for the starter motor, so I'm pleased about that. But overall, really, like, everything's fitting up really, really nice. So all right guys, that might do me for this episode. So in the next one, gonna be pulling this back out. We'll go through and I'll tidy up those little bits and pieces that I was showing you. And then it's just gonna be straight into stripping out this engine bay, pretty much straight to bare, so hinges off, everything all off. I'll pull the guards off and everything. And we're gonna start tidying it all up. There's a little bit of rust over on the chassis rail just from the booster leaking, bits and pieces like that. So we're tidying it all up, gonna sandblast all that, make it all nice and tidy. We'll paint everything all up so that we can hopefully put this engine and box in for maybe a final time. You never know. And we'll go from there, and we'll just keep going. So if you're liking what's happening, you're enjoying it, hit that like, subscribe, and yeah, I'll just keep making them. So cheers, thanks for watching, see yous.